Hare Krishna, everybody. Good morning. Thanks for coming to today's Bhagavatam class. Today we'll be reading from the 4th canto, chapter 29, entitled Talks Between Narada and King Prachinabarhi. So this is a unique text today. Text 1a and 2a. So a little backstory to this part. Prabhupada mentions in the last verses, verse 85's purport, he left a special note that says, according to Vijaya Dhwaja Tirtha, who belongs to the Madhvacharya Sampradaya, the first two of the following verses appear after 5 of this chapter, and the remaining 2 verses appear after verse 79. So that's why it's labeled that. Anyways. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraya Nashta Preshwa Bhadrisho Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavatyotam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. Okay, so I suppose since we don't got many people, we could just do all of it. I was going to have it where a person only does one of these. Anyways. Sarvesham eva jantunam Satatam deha poshane Asti pragya samayata Ko visheshas tadanrinam Labdhoyhante manushyatvam Hitva dehadyasar agraham Atma sritya vihayedam Jivatma savisheshyate Sarvesham eva jantunam Satatang deha poshane Asti pragya samayata Ko visheshas tadanrinam Ladhvehante manushyatvam Hitva dehatya sargraham Atma sritya vihayetvam Jivatma savishishyate Sarvesham eva jantunam Satatam deha poshane Asti pragya samayata Ko visheshas tadanrinam Ladvehante manushyatvam Hitva dehadyasad agraham Atma sritya vihayedam Jivatma savisheshyate. Sarvesham eva jantunam Ko Vishesha Tadadrinam. Sarvesham eva jantuna Satatam deha poshane Asti pragya samayata Ko visheshastadadrina Ladvehante manushyatvam Hitva dehadya sagraham Atma stritya dhayedam Jivatma savishishyate Sarvesham eva jantunam Satatam deha poshane Asti pragya samayata Ko visheshastadadrina.
I don't have the other part on my phone. You don't have it on your phone? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean, I took a screenshot and then got it. Okay. Someone else has. Anyone else? Want to do this?
Okay. Synonyms. Sarvesham, all. Eva, certainly. Jantunam, of animals. Satatam, always. Deha poshane, to maintain the body. Asti, there is. Pragya, intelligence. Samayata, resting on. Kaha, what? Vishesha, difference. Tada, then. Drinam, other human beings. Labdhva, having attained. Eha, here. Ante, at the end of many births. Manushyatvam, a human life. Hitwa, after giving up. Deha, adi, in the gross and subtle body. A satgraham, an incorrect conception of life. Atma, a spiritual knowledge. Sritya, by the path. Dhaya, having abandoned. Iram, this body. Jiva Atma, the individual spirit soul. Saha, that. Vishishyate, becomes prominent. Alright, translation, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. A desire to maintain body, wife, and children is also observed in animal society. The animals have full intelligence to manage such affairs. If a human being is simply advanced in this respect, what is the difference between him and the animal? One should be very careful to understand that this human life is attained after many, many births in the evolutionary process. A learned man who gives up the bodily conception of life, both gross and subtle, will, by the enlightenment of spiritual knowledge, become a prominent individual spirit soul, as the Supreme Lord is also. Please repeat after me. A desire to maintain body, wife and children, is also observed in animal society. The animals have full intelligence to manage such affairs. If a human being is simply advanced in this respect, what is the difference between him and an animal?
between human and an animal.
One should be very careful
One should be very careful
to understand that this human life
to understand that this human life
is attained after many, many births
came after many, many births
in the evolutionary process.
in the evolutionary process.
A learned man who gives up the bodily conception of life,
Learned man who gives up the bodily conception of life,
both gross and subtle,
both gross and subtle,
will by the enlightenment of spiritual knowledge
will by the enlightenment of spiritual knowledge
become a prominent individual spirit soul,
become a prominent individual spirit soul,
as the Supreme Lord is also.
as the Supreme Lord is also.
Purport. It is said that man is a rational animal, but from this verse we can also understand that rationality exists even in animal life. Unless there is rationality, how can an animal maintain its body by working so hard? That the animals are not rational is untrue. Their rationality, however, is not very advanced. In any case, we cannot deny them rationality. The point is that one should use one's reason to understand the Supreme Person of God, for that is the perfection of human life. Om Agyanadhamrandhasya Gnanjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupagadahmayam Narati Swapadantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagate Gopisha Gopaka Kanta Raha Kanta Namoste Tatta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hare Pre Vanchakalpatarubhisha Kripa Sindhuvi Evcha Patitanam Pavnevyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Om Vishnu Padaya Vishnu Pishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharine Nivishesha Shonivari Pashatere Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nakasanandana Sanatana Nandita Gopishwara Go. Alright, so today's verse once more. Desire to maintain body, wife, and children is also observed in animal society. The animals have full intelligence to manage such affairs. If a human being is simply advanced in this respect, what is the difference between him and an animal? One should be very careful to understand that this human life is attained after many, many births in the evolutionary process. A learned man who gives up the bodily conception of life, both gross and subtle, will, by the enlightenment of spiritual knowledge, become a prominent individual spirit soul, as the Supreme Lord is also. So, as mentioned within today's verse, the desire to maintain body, wife, and children is also observed in animal society, and therefore it is also a natural tendency for all conditioned embodied souls to do as well. So what is the difference? Animals, they eat, you eat, they sleep, you sleep. They find a partner to mate and have family life with. You find a partner to mate and have family life with. They defend what they think is theirs. You defend what you think is yours. You want to have some type of shelter or home. They want some type of shelter or home. So where's the difference? So, as explained here, some people say that humans are rational animals and that animals are irrational. But even if we look at simple type of animals, they're also pretty rational. Every animal tries to avoid getting hurt. We see insects or rodents somehow find a way to get to where the food's at, even in a sneaky way without being caught. They avoid what's going to be bad for them and they go for what they think is conducive for them. So that's pretty rational. They're not just wildly going around doing these things like they're rabid. They're thinking about the proper way to go about these things. So, as mentioned by Prabhupada, they're also rational. They might not have the same rationality, but they are also rational as well. So, what's the difference? And, when we look, some animals do human-like things as well. I remember when I was younger, I don't know if this gorilla is still alive, but there's this gorilla named Coco. And Coco was a gorilla that knew how to communicate using sign language. So human and gorilla would be able to talk using sign language. And this gorilla was able to tell her backstory about her life, communicating through sign language. So obviously she had a complex mentality that she's able to communicate on a deeper level. And she's not even human. She's human-like, but she ain't a human. Or maybe some of you guys know Susa the elephant. Susa the elephant used to paint. She used to paint pictures of other elephants and other things, and they would sell this art. So she's able to paint just like a human. Or, there are tailor birds. These are unique type of birds. These birds get two leaves together and they stitch it together using a fiber or like a silk thread. So they stitch these leaves together. Another human-like thing that we talk about. Or the male Adelie penguins. They present females with stones as a type of proposal. So again, human-like activities. So where is the difference at? And even if we come up with something that's more specific to human tendencies, what are we using those things for? Because generally we're still eating, we're still sleeping, we're still mating, we're still defending with more glamour, sense gratification in general. So either way, it still comes down to animalistic activities. Oh, well, I'm an engineer, right? I do this, I do that. Well, so what are you doing with the money that you have? Eating, sleeping, mating, defending, or doing other kinds of sense gratification. Oh, well, I go party, I do this, I do that. Animals also have their own type of parties. Dolphins get intoxicated off of pufferfish or other things. I found out this morning lemurs also get intoxicated off of insects. So intoxication isn't even just unique to the human form of life. Waking up with other people isn't either. So where is this difference at? If you don't know that you're not this body, then what else is there to do though? Because how do you become happy or satisfied? If you don't know that you're not this body, what is there to do? Most people are operating on this level if they don't know that they're not this body. So what other way is there to be happy? Or, I like to eat my favorite type of food. I like to hang out with my family. I like to go out and see this. I like to watch movies, all these things, but these are all connected to these sensory activities, either physically or mentally. So what do people without transcendental knowledge usually do to make themselves happy or feel satisfied? They pretty much do these types of things. And however, this bodily conception generally leads to a demonic mentality. Now, doesn't mean like super like, worshiping the devil type demonic whatever, but it leads to a demonic mentality as defined in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says in chapter 16, verses 11 and 12, that they believe that to gratify the senses is a prime necessity of human civilization. Thus, until the end of life, their anxiety is immeasurable. Bound by a network of hundreds of thousands of desires and absorbed in lust and anger, they secure money by illegal gratification. So, I mean, even sometimes we have this kind of tendency. We have so many desires and we are focused on sense gratification, or at least before we became devotees or started coming around here, this was pretty much what we focused on, was the sense gratification. This was the means of life. This is the prime necessity of human civilization. And most people are, by this kind of definition, operating on a demonic mentality type of level. And it's more than just these five senses of hearing, touch, sight, taste, or smell. It's more than just that. Krishna also says that manasashta nindriyani prakriti stani karshati, that due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. So the mind is also considered a sense, and we're also trying to gratify the mind. You know, some of these so-called spiritual people, they're like, you know, I don't do sense gratification. You know, I gave up this, I gave up that, but still on a mental level, they're still on a sense gratification level, and that could be name, fame, profit, or adoration. You know, people, they they're always seeking these things, and they want to be seen and accepted a certain way by others, their community, or their family. We want to be known for something about.
That's their gratification, because they're like, oh, I'm so advanced, I've renounced from all these sense gratificatory processes.
Yeah, exactly. We see that. That's a common thing. Or, you know, that we want to be known for something about us or what we do. Maybe it's how I dress myself. Maybe it's my character. Or maybe it's how I go about doing things. I want to be known for that. I want people to see that. I want them to be like, wow, what a distinguished person. We want to be known for something about us or what we do. We want people to adore us, and we try so hard not to let them change their view about us or think less of us. How many of us have been there? You know, we want you adore us now, and then we fear that you might think different of us later. That I might lose your respect or this or that. Oh, very nice. Prabhupada in this relation mentions in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya in chapter 32, he says that in the material world, everyone is striving for three things. He wants his name to be perpetuated, he wants his fame to be broadcast all over the world, and he wants some profit for his material activities. So, when these things aren't met on our subtle or gross gratification, we become frustrated. We want things to go the way we want them to, but when they don't, we get frustrated. This could be subtly, oh, you don't think of me the way that I want you to think of me, or this could be on a more physical level. I didn't get that gratification I wanted from this situation or that substance or this or that. So we're constantly getting frustrated here in the material world. And now I'm thinking, now people think of this of me. I didn't get what I really wanted. Why don't things work out the way I planned them? Why don't people do what I want them to? Why can't this situation be better? And so on and so on. However, it's important to remember that it's also mentioned in this regard by Krishna, also in the 16th chapter, that there are three gates that lead to hell, which are lust, anger, and greed. And Krishna says that every sane man should give up these things, otherwise they lead to the degradation of the soul. Now, lust is more than just male and female attraction or any sexual attraction. Lust is strong longing, a desire of something. And this greed, we always want more. Our lust is never satiated, so now we want more. I have it, but I want more of it now. I want more. And anger, there's so many reasons to be angry. We find someone cuts us off on the road, someone looks at us the wrong way, someone doesn't do what we're wanting them to. We get angry, we get frustrated. The situation doesn't work out the way that we had it planned. Now I'm angry and I'm frustrated about it. Krishna also states in the Bhagavad Gita how this comes about. It says that by contemplation on the objects of the senses, we attain attachment for it. And by that attachment, lust develops. Now I really want that. I got a lust for it. From lust, anger arises because now I don't have it. From anger becomes, I want to say it's bewilderment of memory. Oh yeah. And then from bewilderment of memory, intelligence lost from intelligence. I'm forgetting this, I'm butchering this. Either way, it's this whole step, and then one falls down once again into the material pole. It's a step-by-step process. So we get angry because we're contemplating these senses and we're attached to the idea of what that is. And then when we don't get it, we're frustrated. And from that, we fall all the way down to the material pole. So all starts at where is our mentality at? Where are we focusing? So if we remain stuck in this subtle and gross identity with the body, we will only end up degrading ourselves further and further. We have to go beyond these animalistic activities. We've been gifted a human form, which is a unique type of flesh puppet designed for our spiritual evolution and growth, our spiritual advancement. So according to the Vedas, there are 8,400,000 species of life. 400,000 species of that is humans. So if we do the calculations, we look at that 400,000 divided by 8,400,000, just to see how much of a chance you have to getting a human birth. That comes down to a 4.76% chance that you would have ended up with human birth. That's very low, very low. If you were to go gambling, most people would tell you that's a huge risk to try to go for that 4%. This was very rare and very unlikely that you get a human birth. So very, very rare. And this human birth on Earth is something that even the demigods wish that they could have. Something unique. Why is that? The demigods, they got like a human type body too. They don't get old. They live much longer. Why would they want to be on Earth as a human? They don't have to experience all the suffering that we have to in the way that we do. However, the human platform is like an in-between worlds. If you're in a hellish place, in a hellish position, you face a lot of suffering, obviously. Maybe you're getting burned, or you're getting stretched, or you're getting stabbed. Who knows? All kinds of hellish type of punishments. Now, if you're in the heavenly planets, you get the complete opposite. You get to live a lot longer. You got sense gratification. You don't really have anything to worry about. However, in both cases, it's a lot harder for one to spiritually develop. The human platform is in between the two. We don't experience too much pain. We don't experience too much pleasure. If you experience too much pain, it's too hard to focus on spiritual life because you're focused on all this pain. If you got too much pleasure, you forget that there is any type of pain, and why do I want to endeavor for something more? I have it right here. I'm happy. I'm peaceful. Everything's going the way I want it to. So you don't even bother. I mean, even here in the human life, we see some people, if they're rich, they have all the things that they've desired. They don't really want to endeavor for something more. They claim that they're happy, or even some people that are in a not so nice position, but they have like a decent mentality. They think that they're happy. They don't want to do more. There's no need for it. So this human form is very rare. And if we seriously take it up, this is like a shortcut back to the spiritual world. We don't have to live. We don't live that long. We maybe live 100 years lucky. And we're not experiencing a crazy amount of pleasure, a crazy amount of pain. So if we take this 4.76% chance that we've been given, we could go right back to Godhead this life. Prabhupada says it only takes 1 minute to become fully realized, fully Krishna conscious. But that is all dependent on you, whether you let that be 1 moment or you let that be many, many years or births. That is up to you. So in this human form of life, atato brahma jigyasa. Now is the time to inquire. In the other species of life, you didn't inquire. You didn't have the ability to. You were either facing too much pain, or you're facing too much pleasure, or you were an animal that couldn't even have concepts that deep about why am I suffering, why am I here. You should ask these things, and you should wonder what the solution is to these things. How do I put it into it? Yeah, this is the real solution that we should be trying to figure out. Not how do I extend my life even longer, or how do I get more money, or this or that. Why are you focused on these temporary things? These things are fleeting. All the world throughout the ages, people have been teaching about these things, and teachers have been sent to those people. So we see throughout the whole world, there's some type of spiritual teaching. When I was younger, this is what made me really start focusing on spiritual life. I didn't really think so much about it, but eventually I came to the idea that, you know what, it's kind of interesting that throughout the world, throughout the ages, even without contact with other people, everyone is talking about this spiritual life, that there's something beyond this. You know, if you go to Asia, there's different types of practices there, many types. If you go to Africa, there's many types. If you go to Europe, there's different types. Middle East, there's many types. Or even across the whole ocean, completely disconnected from all these other people, you still find spirituality. And you find teachers in all of these. So obviously, there's something more to this life. Everyone is focusing on this at one point in time. So ultimately, they came with the same or similar message as Krishna spoke in the Bhagavad Gita. Just like in our pretty much every class we have, we focus on you're not this body, you're a spirit soul. There's a God who's the source of everything. You come from him, and you have a relationship with that person. So, you know, Jiber Swarup Hoy, Krishna Nityaras. Jiber Swarup, the eternal occupation, eternal identity of the soul, the jiva, is Krishna of Krishna. It's Krishna's. Nitya. Nitya means eternal. Das. Das means servant. So he's eternally Krishna's servant. That is the position of the jiva, the spirit soul, of which we are. So we should start to give up these temporary things, give up these temporary things that we make the goal and main focus of our life. Because that will only lead you to varying degrees of lust, anger, and greed, ultimately leading you to no satisfaction and degrading yourself further. All of these things that we're focused on that are temporary are ultimately going to cause us these things, because we're not focused on the right things, and we're doing things without the proper mentality. We don't know what is to be done and what is not to be done. We're still operating on the quote unquote demonic mentality. So when we're focused on these things, we want more of it, we have a lust for it, and when we don't get it, we're angry, which is going to cause us our own suffering. You are the cause of your own suffering ultimately, because you're identifying with this body and you're wanting these things to satisfy yourself. Because you don't think that you're a Krishna servant. You forgot that you're a Krishna servant. So you become the servant of your senses. You think I am the Lord and I am meant for satisfaction. I'm supposed to be satisfied by these things around me, by these people in my life, by things in my possession, by these situations. Ultimately, they are all meant to satisfy me. But everyone else forgot that they're supposed to be satisfying me. The situations forgot that they're supposed to be serving me. This is our mentality. And this is why we're unhappy. Because we're still trying to be like Krishna. We think we're the supreme controller and the supreme enjoyer. And until we give up that mentality, we're going to suffer. No, everything changes, rearranges, and is ultimately out of your control. You are ultimately not in control of your wife, your kids, your friends, your society, or the situations that you're in. Everyone has free will. And the main thing that you have control of is what you choose to desire. No, I may want to have $1 million, but it doesn't mean I have it. I may want to have perfect sight, but it could be taken away from me. I may want to walk over here to there. I could become paralyzed. I may want to have memories to stay within my mind, but those could be taken away. I could end up with amnesia or so forth. There's nothing in this world that you can for sure say will be with you or that you can do. The only thing that you have the choice is what you desire, if you so choose it. If you sincerely choose it, that is where your desire is going to be at. So you can desire to be under Krishna's control and do his service, or you can choose to be under Maya's control and under her service. And Maya's going to whoop you. She's going to make sure that you're not happy. She's not a good boss to be under. She is going to destroy you. Life after life after life. Any plan that you make that's within the material energy, any situation that you want to be a certain way, anything that you want to go according to your plan is not going to work out with Maya. But Krishna, he is so merciful, so merciful. He comes here, he gives you the scripture, he tells you, okay, this is how life is, this is the ultimate goal of life, this is how the material world works, this is how to get out of the material world, and so forth. He gives you these things. Mam eva ye prapadyante mayam tantrantite. Wait, no. Daivihi shagunamaye mama maya duratya mam eva ye prapadyante mayam tantrantite. Says that these three modes of material nature, these divine modes are everything's under him. These are under him, and they're very difficult to overcome. But one who surrenders under Krishna easily crosses beyond these modes, easily crosses beyond the material ocean. So this is the only way that you're going to come out of it. And Krishna gives you this. He gives you the steps. He gives you the process. And if you didn't understand it the way he said it, he sends down somebody to teach you and show you how you're supposed to carry these things out. This is his mercy. So we don't have to keep suffering. You are the one choosing your suffering, not Krishna. Krishna doesn't want you to suffer. Krishna wants what's best for you. And he comes in whatever form he needs to come, teaches whatever he needs to teaches, just so that you can come back and live properly and not have to suffer. You don't have to suffer. So we should pay close attention to how we act on the physical and subtle plane. Ask yourself, is this conducive or necessary for my spiritual life, or is this taking me away from it? Because ultimately, we should be accepting that which is favorable and rejecting that which is unfavorable. And if we're not, then we're in a very precarious situation. If we're just accepting things that we're not so sure of and we're rejecting things that we're not so sure of, you're in a very precarious situation. Because if I'm accepting those things which are unfavorable, it's going to lead me astray. Even if it's in a subtle way. Maybe it just changes my mentality. Maybe it's not even how I carry myself outwardly. Maybe it changes my mentality. That's going to carry you astray. That little thing will carry you astray. Just like when you're on a ship doesn't go in a straight line. If it goes in a straight line, that straight line with the curvature goes and it goes off course. It has to have a certain course. But if you're trying to go even a fraction off that course, it'll take you a long way. Or a better example, when you shoot a gun, for example, you get the crosshairs, and up to a certain amount of distance away, those crosshairs will be correct, and they'll hit right where you're aiming at. But if those crosshairs are slightly off, the measurement is slightly off, that little bit that's off, as it goes, that distance gets farther and farther and farther away. So we must know what is acceptable and what is rejectable. So where is my mind? What are my activities? And what is the intention and attention behind these activities? So when I'm doing these things, am I doing them attentively? Am I chanting attentively? Am I worshiping the deities attentively? Am I listening to class attentively? Am I doing these things with attention? And then another thing to go with that, what is my intention behind it? Am I chanting so that I could get rid of my sins and get liberation? Am I doing this a certain way so people can look at me a certain way? What is my intention behind my activities? And am I being attentive behind these activities? So these are different things that we should consider to help us come out of this subtle and physical identification with the body. Physical is a little bit easier. I'm not this body, so if I'm not this body, that means I'm not this gender, I'm not from this race, this ethnic group, this culture, this language, I'm not from this country or that country, this society or that society. That's pretty easy enough, okay. But the subtle identification is what's going to get you. What is your subtle identification? Are you still focused on all these other things that you're not? Are you focused on what people look at you? Are you focused on how you want to be perceived or how people adore you, or so many things that you could subtly be wanting? But where's the connection with Krishna? We should connect all these different things with Krishna. Krishna gave me this body, so I should use it in service. Maybe some of these things that come with this body are useful for a service. Maybe because I'm part of this group, I can preach to people in that group, that same group. Maybe it becomes a little bit easier because they identify with this body and they're like, you know what, you're also like me. Or, maybe if you become a father or a mother, you could use that in service to Krishna. You could raise your kids in Krishna consciousness. There's so many ways you can loop these things to Krishna. And that's the art of Krishna consciousness. This is the beauty of Krishna consciousness, is that you take that which is material and you turn it spiritual. Just like this microphone, people in other places are preaching hate or nasty, gross things, or just material things in general over a microphone. But here, we're singing the glories of God. We're giving spiritual knowledge over the microphone. We got books, but these books aren't material. They're preaching the glories of the Lord. We're turning these so-called material things into spiritual things, because that's also Krishna's energy. The main thing that is making it material energy is your consciousness on how you associate with it. Because if I'm thinking it's for my gratification and what I want to do with it, then it's material. But as soon as you take that shift and turn it to Krishna service, now it becomes something spiritual. Now it becomes something profound. So I think this is where we'll end today's class because it is 8:51. But if there are any questions or comments, yes, Chandrika Sarvakanti.
Thank you for class. It was really nice. So as humans, we're seeing the animals as like a lower species. And also the elderly or the infirm, they're very vulnerable. And so like animals are kind of vulnerable to humans as well. But how can we look at the vulnerable, whether humans or animals, with equal vision? And what can we do to support them in a way? Like, do we pray for them, or is there anything else we can do to support and help the vulnerable, whether human or animal?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Well, it depends on the time, place, and circumstance. Obviously, you can do whatever you're able to do at that time, place, and circumstance. So, like with a child who's vulnerable, even like before they're born, preferably we're reading and chanting near them. And that alone, even though we're not like physically doing anything with them, that hearing process is strong. And that hearing process carries out to all these different species. Even the plants, the insects, the animals, if they even just hear these things, they get a lot of benefit. But we're not always able to do anything crazy. It's not like I'm going to go up to every creature I see, sprinkle Ganga water, Yamuna water, start preaching them about Bhagavad Gita or things like that. So be reasonable. But we got so many things that we could do. Whether it's hearing, offering prasadam, even just playing a mercy card on some of these different people. If it's like an elderly man, maybe he's like really hateful to me, or hateful to other people, and he's not really liked. But regardless, I show him love and mercy. And by that, he attains an affection for you as a devotee. He might not care that you're a devotee or whatever, but he attains some type of affection for you because nobody else is treating him that way. And he's treating you like dirt, but you're still loving and all that. So that alone, just being a devotee, acting as a devotee, can give him a lot of mercy. So it's learning how we can do subtle things according to the time, place, circumstance, and the individual themselves. We're not going to be able to do the same thing for everyone. So I can't tell you this is what you should do for every single circumstance or personality. But just use your reason. Okay, what can I do? Maybe I offer prasadam. Maybe I chant. Maybe I offer my respects. I pray to them. Or maybe it's by just being merciful to them and letting them just perceive that love and affection, even if they don't accept it. That's going to be something that you just have to figure out in those circumstances. Is that good?
Thank you.
Yes, anybody else? Yes, Ananta Prabhu.
I wanted to comment that I appreciate the way you're speaking, especially in the beginning, of using the word we, even though you were talking about how people make so many mistakes in their life and associate with Maya Devi or whatever you were saying. But you say we, and Srila Prabhupada also preached that way. He didn't, just say those people do that, or, a lot of devotees end up speaking that way, but it's not near as attractive. Anyway, another thing was you were saying that we're talking about our chanting, and you said you can be doing it for liberation, or you can be doing it for attention. different things. And so I wondered what is the mentality you should have while you're chanting? If you could say it in a word, what would your idea of the real purpose of what you're trying to do with chanting?
In one word?
Yeah, I don't want to make this another 15-minute class, but
Oh,
we're going to have breakfast here. Man.
okay. Oh, the acharyas give different, but pretty much the same things. Prabhupada mentions that while we're chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, that it should be like a call out to like one's mother or father. Oh Krishna, oh Radha, right now I'm embarrassed by the service of Maya. Please engage me in your service. And also the chanting gives what do you call that? Satisfaction to Krishna. He is the reservoir of pleasure, and we give pleasure to him by chanting his names. Because nobody wants to focus on God. Nobody wants to focus on Krishna. But here you are taking your time to chant his names, and he's not different than his name. So you're taking time to associate with him. So this is pleasurable for him, and you get some pleasure out of it as well. But that shouldn't be our focus. It should be, please engage me in your service and let me satisfy you by my service.
That's what I was hoping you'd say. I didn't know if you were thinking that desire for liberation was the purpose.
I was just going for liberation, baby. All right. Anyone else before we end here? Okay, then we'll end here. Gantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai.